So the next talk is on ROS2 control with CANopen and J1939, leveraging automotive protocols for robotics by Anish Darvi from TCS.
Yes. So, hello everyone. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you had good lunch today. My name is Anish Dalvi, and today I'm going to talk on topic ROS2 control with CANopen and SEJ1939 using automotive protocols for robotics. So, before I talk about the topic, I'll give a brief introduction about who I am and what I'm about. So, I'm a research engineer. I work in robotics at TCS Research Bengaluru, and I got introduced to the world of robotics through Robocon competition, which is now held by IIT Delhi. And then I got introduced to the world of ROS through Yantra Robotics competition, and I got introduced to ROS Kinetics. So it was my first ROS that I worked with. And finally, I have 3 years of experience in industrial robotics and robotics research at TCS. Now, I'll give a brief introduction about what we do at TCS Research. So, if you Google TCS robotics, you're more likely to end up reading about RPA, robotic process automation, which is completely different from what we do at TCS Research. So, TCS Research is basically the R&D department of TCS, the IT giant. And then we have primarily two solutions in robotics. One is AMR solution and one is manipulator solution. So in AMR solution, we built our custom AMRs from scratch. And primarily we are focused on warehouse automation, end-to-end warehouse automation. And then in case of manipulator solution, we get the existing manipulators, cobot manipulators, and put it on top of our AMRs, and then give services in retail environment. You can probably guess which cobot manipulator I'm talking about. Then outline for today will be ROS2 control, CANopen, and J1939, and I'll also give you guidance on how to implement it. Okay, so before I go into CAN, I'll give a brief introduction about what is ROS2 control. So ROS2 control is basically you link your hardware to your navigation stack. So everything that happens in between can be done using ROS2 control. So it's a unified controller, unified network for control algorithm to hardware. So the major advantage about ROS2 control is that it eliminates the need for custom controllers. So for example, there are pre-made controllers like differential drive, mechanism drive, joint trajectory. For example, you can use differential for AMRs and joint trajectory controller for manipulators, and many more are there. Then all of it is lifecycle managed, and there's a straight up URDF integration. So you can add ROS2 control tags inside your Zacro file and it is ready to go. Then there are two things, command interface and state interface. So command interface is the joint where you send your motor's data to the motor from ROS to motor, and state interface, you can think of it as like a feedback where the data from your sensors goes back to your ROS ecosystem. And so what developers need to do is do the implementation, and they need to write the hardware interface. So our aim for this presentation is that to packetize the hardware interface too, and specifically for industrial grade robots, industrial grade sensors based on CANopen and SAE J1939. Okay, so before even we go into ROS2 control, we need to ask whether your project needs ROS2 control at the first place. So first questions that you need to ask is your project meant for industrial application? What it means is that in industrial application, we require real-time feedback from the actuators and sensors. The reason being is that you're dealing with a critical environment. If any delay or any latency occurs, it could lead to a catastrophic disaster. So if your answer to this question is yes, then you need ROS2 control. So if its answer is no, then you should ask your question, is your project a POC? What it means is, like, if you're gonna make just one robot or you're not planning to scale your robots into multiple robots, then again probably you don't need ROS2 control. And if it's not a POC, you definitely need ROS2 control. Then say this question is important, is your controller having an embedded controller? So if you have an embedded controller like a microcontroller and you're probably running RTOS on it, and you're getting basically the real-time feedback between the motor and your control algorithm, and you can link it with your nav stack, then you're good to go. You don't need ROS2 control. Then finally, does your project utilize high level application like move it to or nav to? So if you're using this, then it's better to go with ROS to control because they already have good linkage with each other. And yeah, so if answer to all these questions is no, most likely you don't need ROS to control. So when one talks about connecting like your hardware to your nav stack, one might just say that I'll write a node with the subscriber and publisher, so that like I'll subscribe to my joystick value or keyboard or nav stack CMD val, and I'll publish it directly to my wheel RPM. So that can be done by ROS topic. But the problem with ROS topic is it's not real time. It is fast, but it is not real time, which is what industry requires. So that is where if you from point of ease of view, then ROS to topic pubsub up method node will be much better, whereas ROS to control will require hardware interface. If you think, then this is where ROS to control comes into the picture, where it gives you a real-time support and it has a controller management, like we have predefined controllers like differential type, joint trajectory controller, etc. Okay, so that was on ROS to control. Now I'll slowly explain what is CAN and then CAN open. So this is a normal CAN network looks like. So CAN stands for controller area network. It's one of the communication protocol that is used in embedded system. Then it's a decentralized structure multi-master protocol. What it means is that there's no single master or single slave. Anybody can be any master at any time, and it's not dependent on any one of them. Like for example, safety controller can directly talk with motor controller, and vice versa. So it prioritizes messages with arbitration. What it means is that when you have so for example, we have safety controller there, right? It is the most important of all. So you're going to have a lower CAN ID for it, and for rest of the things you can have a higher CAN ID. So what it means is that prioritizes message means that whenever data comes up, it is going to give priority to whichever CAN ID has low CAN ID. So safety controller will given the most priority. Then it has real-time message prioritization. So what happens is like sometimes when two CAN devices send the data at the same time, then probably a chance of conflict happens. So in case of CAN, we have real-time message prioritization. What it means is that it is gonna give priority to whichever which has higher importance. So for example, safety controller will have a higher importance. Then in case of wiring, it just uses two wire CAN H and CAN L, which makes wiring very, very easy. Then it's robust against EMIs. So let's say a EMI occurs, like interference occurs with our CAN system. So what it does is affects the CAN high line and CAN low line at the same time, which basically cancels out and nullifies the effect. So that's how it is robust. And speed ranges from 150 kbps to 1 mbps. In CAN FD or if you go CAN XL, you can get speeds greater than 1 mbps. Then it's a de facto in automobiles. So whatever car you're using, scooty, anything, every two-wheeler or four-wheeler or more than four-wheelers are using, it's definitely using CAN. And yeah, that's it on CAN. So think of CAN is like your central nervous system, where it connects your different parts of the system, and it's kind of a mode of communication. Okay, so I'll give you a brief on CAN open. Now, to give you another analogy, if CAN is the voice of a system, then CAN open and SAE J1939 are basically the languages in which the devices will communicate with each other. So like that, it's a higher layer protocol based on CAN bus, and it uses standardized communication protocol for CAN bus network. Like I said before, it is real-time data exchange, and core concepts include like CAN communication models, protocols, CIA 402, object dictionaries. So this is how we have master slave relation, we have server client relation, then we have consumer producer. To give you an example, let's say you have a CAN device. It is and we have our ROS master. Okay, so CAN device is going to be the producer who is going to create the heartbeat, and your consumer will be your ROS to control, which is going to monitor the heartbeat to make sure that your both devices are connected to each other. So if the producer stops sending CAN data, then you can think like the device is not working, so you can run your recovery protocol. Then we have CAN open protocols and services. Primarily we have five services. NMT is network management. Think of it like it's an on-off button. You can think of it like that. There are three states: ops, pre-ops, and disable. And we have linked it to ROS to controls lifecycle hardware interface states, which I'll explain in further slides. Then sync is basically you configure all your devices into sync, and then ROS master will send a sync command into the CAN bus. As soon as it sends the sync command into the CAN bus, all my CAN devices are gonna send the same data at the exact same time. So what it means is, like, if you want data at one particular time from all the devices, then sync is very useful. Now, emergency is basically, it indicates the rest of the network about any failure has occurred in the system, and failure recovery can be run through it. SDOs and PDOs are, think of it as like services, and SDOs is like a service only. You send request, you get response. Same we have mapped to a ROS2 control node service request response method. It is used to basically configure everything in your motor, set your speed, stop the motor, everything. PDO, you can think it of like as a broadcast method, where you get data from the sensor continuously, and you can use your CAN callbacks to record that data and store into your device. So the main aspect of CAN Open is CIA 402. It's a protocol, it's a state machine. I hope you guys know what is state machine. So it has multiple states in which the motor is, like, your actuator is going to be. So the first 3 states are not ready to switch on, disable, and ready to switch on. Think of these states as the place where your motor has logic power, like logic voltage, but it doesn't have power electronics voltage. Okay, so we have mapped this to our ROS2 control hardware interface lifecycle's unconfigured state, followed by switch on state and fault reaction active state. So in this, you will still have logic voltage, but this time you're going to have your power electronics voltage also. But the difference is that the torque will not be applied to the motor. So for this, we have mapped it to inactive state. And finally, we have quick stop active and operation enable state, which is where your motor is going to have the torque. So whatever position it is going to maintain. If you give a position value, it is going to go to that position. If you give RPM value, it's going to run at that particular RPM. And we have mapped it to the active state of the lifecycle interface. Okay, now that's on CAN Open. Now I'll talk about J1939. It's a standard written protocol defined by Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE, and it is primarily used in heavy duty vehicles to communicate things like speed, battery data, temperature data, steering data, etc. Okay, like CAN Open, it is also a language. It is based on it's a higher layer protocol based on CAN bus, and it has a standardized protocol with proprietary addresses. Like I said before, it is used primarily in heavy duty vehicles like fork trucks, forklifts, and different kind of trucks used in industry. And core concept, like how it is different from CAN Open, is you can say that it has a fixed speed of 250 kbps, then it has 29-bit extended CAN ID, and then we have request response data. Okay, so how are we linking J1939 with ROS2 control? So think it has two concepts basically, PGN and SPNs. Think of PGN as CAN ID and SPNs as identifying the individual parameters. So it will help you give you a data. So for example, take this an example. So this is from the DBC file of electronic engine control 1, and PGN ID is hex F004. So you can see it's a 8-byte data, 64 bits data you can see. And let's say your ROS2 hardware interface needs data of your RPM of the engine. So you're gonna look for the SPN ID hex 00BE, which corresponds to engine RPM. So basically you have to take data from bit 24 to 40, and then you're gonna link it to your, so you have to send the request and you'll get response from your J1939 device. And once you get the response, you have to decode based on this 24 to 40. And once you have the RPM value, you just send it to your export state interface. And once it is there, then your ROS2 ecosystem basically gets the feedback with the RPM of the device. Okay, so there are already existing packages, not on entire thing, on some extent. For example, we are using this package in our project, ROS2 Socket CAN by AutoWare Foundation. Think of it as basically it enables our ROS2 ecosystem to have CAN data from our CAN bus. So it gives us two topic, to CAN bus and from CAN bus, which basically enables us data from our CAN bus. Then there's also one more this package, ROS Industry, it is the CAN Open by ROS Industrial. It is also done. It is based on Lily CAN Open method, and we have taken inspiration from it, but we have not implemented in our project. So finally, on implementation, and so let's say you want to do what we are doing and implement in your project. Let's say you're a school student or you are maybe a corporate, then you have to follow these steps. So first thing and first, you have to have hardware. So you either have to have a CAN open device or SAE-J1939 device. It could be a sensor or actuator. Then obviously you need a ROS2 computer, mostly Linux based, and any x86 based computer is supported. In case of ARM, we have NVIDIA Jetson platforms. It already has a CAN controller, so it makes things easier. Then you need a USB to CAN converter. So generally, our computers, laptops don't have CAN data. It works only on serial, right? So you'll need a USB to CAN converter. If you're a college student, then you can probably go with MCP2515 with Arduino Uno. And then if you're going with a Jetson device, then the only thing you need is CAN trans receiver, because Jetson already has a CAN controller. And finally, last but not the least, 120 ohm termination resistor. Like, it's just a 120 ohm resistor, but it has a lot of meaning. Like, you will never know what has gone wrong, and eventually you'll just know that, okay, it's 120 ohm resistor is not there. Then software requirement, obviously you'll need ROS2 Humble or any ROS2 versions. Then CAN utils is one of them, and socket CAN driver, obviously, to have communication. So how does the data flow in our system? So we have CAN bus, where we'll have CAN devices, and you'll have a USB to CAN converter, which will be connected via CAN high and CAN L. Then it will have a socket CAN driver. This is probably given by your vendor, socket CAN driver. Let's say you have a peak CAN USB to CAN converter, then you'll need a peak CAN driver for your Linux Ubuntu computer. Then we have CAN utils. It's generally for debugging processes, for example, CAN dump and CAN send. CAN dump means we get data from the CAN bus to our computer, and CAN send is we send data from our computer to CAN bus. And finally, it is linked to our ROS ecosystem through ROS2 socket CAN packaged by Autoware Foundation. And it has two topics, to CAN bus and from CAN bus it exposes. Then on top of that, you'll finally have layers of SAE-J1939 and CAN open. So at TCS, we have developed a product called Pal Picker. It stands for Pallet Picker. It's an autonomous mobile robot. It is made completely by TCS. Manufacturing is handled by our vendor called Titan Engineering and Automation, TEAL, which is there in Hosur. So we have built this robot from scratch, and it is, as we speak, it is currently doing its job. It's picking up pallets from one place to another place autonomously at our client location. So I'll have a quick video on what exactly Pal Picker is. Can we increase the volume?
TCS's Forkover AMR, built in collaboration with TEAL, is an advanced industry-ready robot.
TEAL being strong in the physical automation space and TCS being strong in the digital automation space, we have been really looking at how we can bring both these skills together and create unique proposition.
Autonomous mobile robots can handle in-house transportation tasks in warehouses, distribution centers, parcel sorting centers, and factory floors to increase productivity.
It is fully autonomous 4-core AMR capable of automatic detection of pallets and roll cage using AI and computer vision technologies.
We've built in a range of features with which it can handle warehouse material in a deft and safe way. It uses its sensor vision and intelligent forks for load-unload autonomously. It avoids objects or humans in its path, making it safe to use. It works easily at night as day.
We have used top-notch sensors like LiDAR, 2D, 3D vision, and applied sensor fusion to achieve high precision and multi-level safety.
The base platform uses a uniquely patented design to handle a variety of payload types, including pallets and roll cages, across different navigation zones owing to its modular and extensive design.
The design challenge was to handle a variety of payload configurations. This has been achieved through our unique patented fork design.
TCS Fleet Management System can handle a heterogeneous fleet of self-optimizing Forkover AMR at any time. This allows for off-site remote management, resulting in sufficient and sustainable operations across the floor.
The autonomous mobile robo is a great space to be in, and it's an area in which I see a kind of a revolution happening.
The Forkover AMR has demonstrated its effectiveness in intralogistics operations and sorting centers. With secure, flexible, and simple integration with ERP systems, The technology offers a solution to the issues of high volume growth and labor scarcity.
Okay, so if you want to know more about ROS2 Control, you can definitely check out their control.roscorp website. Then if you want to know what is CAN bus or SEJ1939, you can check these links. Then if you want to know more about what we do at TCS, you can check out these YouTube links. You can contact us if you don't know. And yeah, so thank you for that. Let's connect us on LinkedIn. That's my QR code. And for opportunities at TCS Futures, you can definitely scan that email and send your resume, and let's see. Thank you.